Okay, so I saw an anonymous post online in a soccer coaching forum, one soccer coach asking the opinions of the other coaches in the forum. He was talking about a U11 player on the club team, the B team, and the player was described as disruptive, unattentive, unteachable, and overall lowering the level of the whole team. There were lots of good replies from coaches who have experience with players like this. We all do. And there were things like ask the player to sit down when he's being disruptive, get him to some sort of a timeout, get him to run some laps, get the whole team to run some laps, talk with the parents. Lots of good information and things to consider for that coach. But I wanted to offer an alternative point of view. And I've found that in situations like this, I've had my opportunity to do my best work and some of the hardest work that I've done to turn these players around. This is a tough situation. You want to be inclusive. You want to flip the situation if you can. And you want to drive collective energy and chemistry on the team. So the objectives that I have when working with these players is as follows. I want to, number one, see if I can connect the player's strengths to soccer. And number two, I want to strengthen relationships. I want to strengthen my relationship with this player specifically. So how does something like connecting strengths to soccer work? Well, here are a few examples. Sometimes you find that you've got a kid or a couple of kids who can't stop talking during practice. You can pull them aside and talk with them about how important communication is. You're so happy that they're talkative because you need people on the field to be your on-field coaches to help organize kids out there, pick them up when they're down and things like that. So you're putting good communication skills to use in a setting that's productive for the whole team and for those players as well. There are other kids who are always getting in trouble in practice. Sometimes we find that these kids are competing in practice and you can talk with them about their behavior and flip it around and say, you're the kind of person that I need to be a fierce competitor on the field on game day. Another example would be a player who doesn't always follow instructions. Sometimes we find that these are the players who are thinking outside the box. The instructions are boring and they're thinking outside the box, and you need these kids to be your creative playmakers on game day and in practice as well. Finally, there are kids who are out there messing up other kids' sandcastles on the playground. And sometimes these people need to be told that that's a strength that they can deploy as excellent defenders. Go out there and mess up the other team, but don't mess up practices. This is where we're all learning together. But on game day, out you go to be as disruptive as you possibly can. So in the case of this player, I'd put some of those conversations to use. I'd talk to the kid about the amount of energy they have and say, your energy is great. We need to figure out how to channel it productively during practice, but on game day, I need you out there from the moment the whistle blows until the final whistle blows. We need high energy players, and you can be one of them for sure. Another thing is to say, I notice that sometimes you're pretty disruptive in practice, but we can use this when you're defending. Another thing is, for this kid who might not be that good about working with instructions, we can help them to understand how they can put their creative playmaking to use. So I know that this is kind of hard to execute on, but it's worth giving it a shot. And you have to keep in mind that soccer is a great game for rambunctious kids. It's a sport that you run for 45 minutes until the final whistle blows, you go in for a break, and then you come back out and run for 45 more minutes. Wouldn't that be the best setting for an energetic kid? Also, we're disrupting half the time. Half the time we're defending. That requires really disruptive kids. And then finally, soccer, if you can kind of set it up great for the kid, it's a wonderful opportunity for the kid to learn about themselves, for the parents to learn about themselves and the kid. And it's a great opportunity for coaches to learn too. So listen to these players. Do your best to understand what they bring to the team. Help them understand how they can put their strengths to good use. And make the player believe in himself. Make the player believe in you and your program as a coach. Make the player believe in the team and help them to believe in soccer as a force for good in their lives. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't say that it's really important to involve the parents, obviously. You want to speak with them early and often. Early on, you want to gather information from them. Get them, see if you can confirm that the behavior that you see is something that the parents see at home and in school. And then ask them what they've done to help the kid manage their behavior. Leave out the consequences in the early conversation. Don't say anything like, hey, you're a kid, I would like to understand your kid, because if I don't, we might have to excuse them from practices. We might have to excuse them from the game. They might get kicked off the team. Those are conversations that you might need to have. But if you're trying to execute on what I'm proposing, you want to leave that out for later when you need to escalate the issue and move on. Finally, keep talking to the player. If you want to introduce these concepts, it won't work if you introduce it one time. You need to have a dialogue that goes on with this kid as best as you can do it. So that's what I got. It's an alternative way of trying to help players leverage what appears to be bad behavior and flip it into something good when they're out there kicking butt and taking names on the soccer field. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below or get in touch with me on this platform. I'd love to tell you more about my experiences executing and helping disruptive kids become excellent players on the field. Take it easy.